to you all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter number 9, verse number 4. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo.
Hare
Glory to
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
So one more beautiful verse today.
4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atmatatmam Visudartam. Yadaham Bhagavan Rutam Brahmane Darshayan Rupam Avalika Ratadritaha. So these are the answers by Sukadev Goswami to the questions of Maharaj Parikshit, which made up the entire previous chapter. So he's taking those questions and answering them. O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma. And that is the objective goal for purifying the soul. So he's answering the question, how does the soul become purified? So he explains here, being pleased with Brahma, the personality of Godhead, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma. And that is the objective goal for purifying the soul. Now that'll be explained. Atma-tattva is the science of God and the living entity. Both the Supreme Lord and the living entity are known as Atma. The Supreme Lord is called Paramatma, and the living entity is called Atma, the Brahma or the Jiva. Both the Paramatma and the Jivatma, being transcendental to the material energy, are called Atma. So Sukadev Goswami explains this verse with the aim of purifying the truth of both the Paramatma and the Jivatma. Generally, people have many wrong conceptions about both. The wrong conception of the Jivatma is to identify the material body with the pure soul. And the wrong conception of Paramatma is to think him on the equal level with the living entity. But both misconceptions can be removed by one stroke of Bhakti Yoga, just as in the sunlight, both the sun and the world and everything within the sun are properly seen. In the darkness, one cannot see the sun, nor himself, nor the world. But in the sunlight, one can see the sun, himself, and the world around him. Srila Sukadev Goswami therefore says that for the purification of wrong conceptions, the Lord presented his eternal form before Brahmaji. Being fully satisfied by Brahma's non-deceptive vow of discharging Bhakti Yoga. Except for Bhakti Yoga, any method for realization of Atma Tattva or the science of Atma will prove deceptive in the long run. So that's a key point. Except for Bhakti Yoga, any method for self-realization of the truth of the soul or the science of the soul will prove to be deceptive in the long run. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, only by Bhakti Yoga can one know him perfectly, and then one can enter into the science of God. Brahma undertook great penance in performing Bhakti Yoga, and thus he was able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. His transcendental form is 100% spiritual, and one can see him only by spiritualized vision after proper discharging of penance, or tapasya, in pure bhakti yoga. The form of the Lord manifested before Brahma is not one of the forms which we have experienced in the material world. Brahmaji did not perform such severe penances just to see a form of material production. Therefore, the question by Maharaj Parikshit about the form of the Lord is answered. The form of the Lord is Sat Chit Ananda, or eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. But the material form of the living being is neither eternal, nor full of knowledge, nor blissful. That is the distinction between the form of the Lord and that of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, however, can regain his form of eternal knowledge and bliss simply by seeing the Lord, seeing the Lord by means of bhakti yoga. The summary is that due to ignorance, the conditioned soul is encaged in a variety of temporary material forms. But the Supreme Lord has no temporary form like the conditioned souls. He is always possessed of an eternal form of bliss and knowledge. And that is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. One can understand this difference by the process of bhakti yoga. Brahma was then told by the Lord the gist of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses. Thus, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a creation of the mental speculators. The sound of Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the renaissance of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. Thus, the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of both the Lord and the living entity. Regular hearing or reading of Srimad Bhagavatam is also performance of Bhakti Yoga, and one can attain the highest perfection simply by the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Both Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Gyan Timidandasya Ginarjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Vipa Sindhu Payevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, when the living entity in any category of life does not refer to the higher authority for knowledge, they speculate, or they come up with their own ideas through empirical observation. And usually the senses are imperfect. Because the senses are limited, the senses are imperfect. And one cannot understand transcendental knowledge simply by sensual speculation or empirical knowledge or even historical references. One has to hear from the bona fide spiritual teachers who speak based on the words of the Supreme Lord himself. Then one gets clear knowledge. So here, Prabhupada mentions there's two conceptions or wrong conceptions of both the living entity, the Jivatma, and Paramatma. The Jivatma identifies themselves with the material body as being the actual personality. And the Paramatma, people think that he's on the same level as the living entity. Simply by observing activities, they conclude these things. But activities observed by mental speculation are always faulty because the senses are limited. and the senses are subject to 4 defects, and one of them is 3 defects. One, perfect senses, makes mistakes, the cheating propensity, and one is illusioned by material energy. So we have to hear from the proper source if we want to get the actual knowledge. And the actual knowledge directs one towards the right activity. Otherwise, wrong knowledge will bring wrong activity and will give you no actual truth in the results of that activity. And we have to hear from the bona fide spiritual master who teaches on behalf of the Lord, on behalf of the scriptures, which are the words of the Lord, and on behalf of the great souls who have gone before and have established the truth based on their own practice and realization. Otherwise, we speculate. Just like here, the jiva identifies himself with the material body. But the jiva is eternal, the material body is temporary. So how can one identify one's identity or denote one's identity by something that is always changing? Truth does not change. Truth expands itself into more and more understanding of the truth, but there is no change in truth. When you talk about change, you talk about falsity or temporality at best. And therefore, unless we hear from the bona fide teachers, we will take untruth as being truth. I am this body. Well, maybe I'm not this body, but my mind. Whatever I think, that indicates my identity. You are what you think, which is another form of the same illusion, because the mind is also material because it's part of the subtle body and part of the external energy of the Lord also. Anything temporary cannot be considered to be truth. Though people will say, well, it's truth within a certain period of time. But that's not real truth, because if something is changing, what part does it actually become truth? Is it truth when it is at one time, or is it truth later when it changes? Or is it truth when it changes again? So if it keeps changing, where's the truth? If it keeps redefining its existence, where is the reality? So everything in this material world is untruth because it's always changing. The only thing that in this world that doesn't change is 2 things: is the Lord in the heart, super soul, Paramatma, and the living entity. These are the 2 features of truth, God and the soul. These are the only features in the material world that are actually reality or truth, because they're not changeable. They're above the material energy, which is always changing. So unless we come to the proper understanding through the direction given by the authorities and those who know, such as here it's mentioned, except for bhakti yoga, any other method of self-realization of the soul will prove deceptive in the long run. So what Prabhupada is indicating, there are many types of yoga. There's karma yoga, there's jnana yoga, there's raja yoga, and then the Ashtanga yoga process. Of course, the Ashtanga yoga process is a bona fide process, but not in this age. So these different yogas, karma yoga, elevate one a little bit above the material energy, where they become somewhat detached from the results of their activities. Jnana yoga gives you some understanding of the fact that you are not this body, you are spirit soul, and everything in this material world is temporary. And ultimately, success means to merge into the eternal body of the Lord and become one with the Lord. But all of these processes are levels of elevation, but they are not the complete understanding of perfection. Perfection is, as Prabhupada said, in the long run, it will prove to be deceptive. Perfection means to engage in activities for the pleasure of the Lord, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, which is referred here by Prabhupada. Yoginam apisavesham madgatendranat manaha Shradavam bhajate yomam te me yuktatamo mataha. And of all yogis, now Krishna speaking this whole chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, and he's going through all of the yogas and explaining the different qualities and characteristics of the different yogas and the different levels of elevation. The chapter is called the Yoga Ladder. Yoga is like a ladder. There's different rungs on the ladder. But the highest rung, which you reach your goal, you have to come to the highest rung, and that is Bhakti Yoga. That means to engage in devotional service because because the living entity by nature is the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is confirmed by gurus, shastras, constantly throughout the scriptures, that we are an eternal part of the Lord and we're meant to serve the Lord. Just like we get into a relationship in this world, we get in a relationship with friends, and then we serve the friends in different ways. We get relationship as family members, so we play the role as a mother, we play the role as a father, we play the role as a relative within the family. So we're all playing these different roles, but the role is based on service. So we serve as a mother, we serve as a father, we serve as a friend. But all of these are part of the material tabernacle of maintaining the material body in this world. But still, the service attitude continues beyond the material body into the spiritual realm. Whereas, because we have that nature, we have to serve the Lord also. So, serving the Lord is actually intrinsic, or we might say, what's the word? Innate quality of the soul. To serve the Lord is natural. Just like in this body, to breathe is needed and it's natural. You don't even think about breathing, you just do it. And if you were not to be able to breathe, you would expire after some few minutes at most. So breathing goes on because it's natural for the body to breathe in order to live. So it's natural for the soul in order to live in its actual environment or the spiritual environment, it must serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the source of our existence. Just like the parents are the source of the existence of the child, using a material example. So the child has some duty to serve the parents because of the connection. And that makes the relationship a relationship. Otherwise, if there's no exchange of service, there's no relationship, even though one may identify with different labels. I'm mother, father, this. But if I'm not doing anything in my capacity as the identity that I adopt, then there is no relationship. So in order to develop that relationship with the Lord, we have to serve, because it's natural to serve the Lord. And therefore, Krishna ends the Bhagavad Gita after explaining all the different yogas. He says, one who serves the Lord in devotion is the highest yogi and is very intimately united with me in devotion. So that's the perfection, that Krishna is the supreme object of service, and we are his eternal servant. Jiver Sarupai Krishnera Nityadas. We can change our material identities life after life. We do that. Even within one life, we change our material identities. We go from one situation to another and adopt. We may even change from one religious practice to another, and we redefine our identity accordingly. But there's one thing you cannot redefine: your actual nature, and that is we are spiritual. And because we are connected with the Supreme Spirit through devotional service, that is our eternal occupation, to serve the Lord in devotion. And when we serve the Lord in devotion, all of our desires for happiness, success, and knowledge manifest simply by serving the Lord in devotion. So here, Here it's about identity. What is our real identity? We are Jiva and we are eternal. We are not this body. And we have a body, but the body has a use in order to help us function in this material world. Otherwise, there's no need for a body. And here Prabhupada mentions also that in this particular chapter, there is what we say Krishna speaks the 4 verses, which are the foundation of all spiritual knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, verses 8 through 11, they are called the nutshell verses, by which all of the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita has been given in a PowerPoint presentation. You might say, use it nutshell, something that is small but can be expanded. So in the same way, there's 4 verses. You'll come to them. It starts at verse number 32 in this chapter, 32, 33, 34, and 35. These are the 4 nutshell verses. You can read ahead if you'd like. It would be good. These are the verses that make up the entire philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's found in this chapter here. Excuse me. So all the knowledge is there. And as Prabhupada ends the purport, if we want to know anything, read Srimad Bhagavatam, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Because by doing that, the knowledge within the soul becomes awakened, and realization of that knowledge becomes the result of hearing, chanting, discussing, and even distributing this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is the best. The last chapter in this particular canto is Bhagavatam is the answer. So any questions you have on any subject matter in any realm of existence can be answered by Srimad Bhagavatam. You just have to know how to find the answers. They're there. They're there in the translations. They're there in the explanations on the translations and the purports. Everything there. That's why Bhagavatam is considered to be Amalam Puranam. It is the purest and the highest form of spiritual knowledge available on the planet. Bhagavatam is not limited to 18,000 verses. That limitation is what is available on this planet. But Jiva Goswami explains that in the higher planets, Bhagavatam has 1 billion verses. So Bhagavatam is very expansive because it covers all knowledge and in all areas of knowledge, both material and spiritual, and the intricacies of both in both of these different categories. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur has penned 2 volumes explaining the different categories of knowledge. And he divides them, he doesn't divide them, they are divided into 3 categories. One is called Sambandham, that is connection or relationship. What is my relationship with the material energy? What is my relationship with different living entities? What is my relationship with Guru? What is my relationship with Krishna? What are the activities that make up this relationship? This is the next category, that's called Abhideya, the process of activities by developing activities within these different relationships. That is called Abhideya, or the process. And then the third category of knowledge is Prayojana, which is the smallest of all categories. And that is what is the goal of all of the activities. And it ends by saying Prema Pumartha Mahan. The goal is to achieve our natural loving relationship with the Supreme Lord eternally. And ultimately go back to the spiritual world, live with Krishna in loving devotional service in varieties of activities, where life is Sat Chit Ananda unlimitedly. And so everything is there in Bhagavatam. We should read it. We should study it. We shouldn't simply come to this class and think that I'm getting enough of Bhagavatam. We should read it on our own, hear about it, go to classes about Bhagavatam. Take an active interest in the knowledge of Bhagavatam. It's really expansive. And it's expansive in the way that it opens up more and more realization of life in different categories of life, not only on the spiritual platform, but how the material energy works, how the material energy is affecting us, how to get out of that effect of material energy. So Bhagavatam is, uh, as Bhakti Vinod Thakur would say, if all of the books in the world were thrown into the ocean and there was only Bhagavatam left, there would be no loss. Life would go on perfectly simply by Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the answer to all the questions of life, and it teaches the goal of life also and how to attain that goal. Everything is in Bhagavatam. And so this chapter and the next chapter is really centered around Bhagavatam, especially the next chapter. So take time and read. We spend so much time doing so many things in life that it'll actually, a lot of it doesn't really give us any benefit. We just do it because of habit or because we like to. But Bhagavatam will bring you to the perfectional stage of life. That means, what does that mean? That all of your desires will be fulfilled. Can you imagine if someone said, I can fulfill all of your desires? Then you would start to think, well, what are my desires? And then you would make a list. But you don't have to do that with Bhagavatam. It comes automatically through the process of hearing Bhagavatam. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam Bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti Bhagavati naistiki. By hearing Bhagavatam regularly and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is, we say, inauspicious is practically destroyed. And loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord awakens as an irrevocable fact. Bhagavatam is everything. So if you have, sometimes you're wondering, what should I read? Just read Bhagavatam. Because everything is there. And Prabhupada has made the explanations of Bhagavatam understandable. Otherwise, we couldn't understand this knowledge. It's too deep. It's too beyond sensible and intellectual perception and ability. We need the explanations of the pure devotees to help us go deeper into this knowledge, which is so profuse and so unlimited. And the knowledge about Krishna, which makes up most of the 10th canto, is the supreme perfection of Bhagavatam's existence. The 10th canto. It takes you right into the smiling face of Krishna, which means that principle of Krishna that is most attractive. What is Krishna's most attractive feature? His smiling face. That's Krishna. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. Maharaj, I don't have that much energy today. I'm having a lot of headache today since morning. So I requested Eka Chakra to take over the hosting. Is it okay?
Sure, whatever is required. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Take some medicine if you need it, and take some rest.
Yeah, sure. Maharaj, I just have one question here. So when Brahmaji is saying, when it is mentioned as non-deceptive of Brahmaji, so what actually that means? Like he's not having any duplicity towards Bhakti Yoga or towards the Lord. That's why the Lord is pleased.
Can you go back to that part in the
Yes, Maharaj. So here in the paragraph, in the last part of the paragraph, being fully satisfied by Brahma's non-deceptive vow of discharging Bhakti Yoga.
That means no duplicity.
Yeah.
He's a sincere student. He wants to learn. He has no personal motivation for learning, but to be situated in his devotional service to the Lord,
Okay.
in his non-deceptive vow of discharging bhakti seva. People engage in devotional service with motivations. That's deceptive. But Brahma is here highlighted as a person without any other motivation other than to discharge his devotional service.
Okay. So,
If
and also,
the Lord,
yes.
the Lord is fully satisfied by that, as
Mm.
it says here.
And also, any method for realization of Atma Tattva means the other yogas like Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, all that, Maharaj?
I explained that, how
Mm.
they are limited and they don't really come to the perfectional stage. They elevate one's consciousness gradually above the material, but they're still within the material.
Okay. Mm.
Karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga. These are all yogas for bringing one to a higher state of consciousness. But it's not the perfectional state of consciousness, which is Krishna conscious.
Yeah. Okay, Maharaj. Sure. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, and all the devotees, being some humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I request devotees, if you can, please turn on your cameras so we can have a nice interactive Q&A session. Please raise your virtual hands if you'd like to ask something, and you can also use the chat and I will read out any questions and comments. I'll hand it over to Shivakumar Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Maharaj, I had this question for quite some time, Maharaj. I just wanted to understand the difference between happiness and satisfaction, Maharaj. I don't know what I feel is correct, but I feel there is something that is missing as far as happiness is concerned in Krishna consciousness. But I feel there is immense satisfaction, Maharaj. So it seems like a paradox, contradiction. I just wanted to hear a few words on that.
So you want to know the difference between happiness in Krishna consciousness and satisfaction in Krishna consciousness?
Yes, Maharaj.
Not on a material level, just on the spiritual level.
Spiritual, yes.
Well, within happiness, satisfaction is already there. But there's different levels of happiness. And so satisfaction follows happiness automatically. But satisfaction means that when you, let's see, how can we explain it? When you say you do something and it comes out and you did it really nicely and the results are very nice, there's a sense of satisfaction or sense of satisfaction that comes with performing the activity. So like that. So satisfaction, you might say, is a preliminary or more simplified form of happiness. You can, if you're happy, you can be happy all the time, but satisfaction may come and go depending on situations. Satisfaction is more temporary. You can be satisfied, and then after some time, you can be dissatisfied. But when you reach the platform of happiness in Krishna consciousness, it becomes continuous. And then it not only becomes continuous, it becomes expansive. And then there's happiness on more and more fullness of that happiness. As Lord Chaitanya says, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It is an ocean of transcendental happiness. So I'll give you an example, or I'll give you an explanation from my understanding. The first principle that devotees start to experience, or the first quality that they feel peaceful when they start executing devotional service. There's a sense of peace that enters into their life. Their anxiety starts to dissipate and they start to feel peaceful. Peace is the foundation for gaining happiness. Without peacefulness, there's no happiness. So happiness means there is some fulfillment by one's activity. One feels what we say, light, happy. How to describe happy is that means you can describe it by the opposite. When you're something else other than happy, you're that, or dissatisfied, anxiety, pensive, different things. So from happiness, the next stage is joyfulness. So that's a higher stage of happiness. One becomes joyful. And then you can see that expression. So happiness may not always be visible in the person, but joyfulness is more visible because it manifests itself a little bit more external. Higher than joyfulness is ecstasy. And one becomes, what we say, one starts to exhibit certain symptoms, such as crying, hair, standing of hairs on the body, changing colors in the body. What are the different symptoms of ecstasy? There's 8 symptoms like that. And these are all external symptoms. And then he manifests. Sometimes devotees manifest these symptoms in kirtan. They actually feel ecstatic. And they're manifesting they're singing loudly. Singing loudly is an expression of one's ecstasy. And then higher than that is bliss, where that is a constant state of ecstasy that simply covers the entire person's existence. And it's so complete that you can't see anything outside of yourself except the experience of unlimited happiness, which comes in the state of constancy. That's bliss. And higher than bliss, this is my adaptation, is what is called madness. And that's mentioned that a person on that level will sing, dance, jump, do crazy things, and they become mad. It's like you can't talk to them. All you can do is, become wondrous about what's happening. It's like you don't see that so often, but it's mentioned. It's mentioned once in Bhagavatam, and it's mentioned also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one starts to develop symptoms of madness. So all of these different levels of happiness, as we explained, is all based on chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Okay.
Like that. So happiness takes different levels of experience, and we can redefine it accordingly.
Okay.
But satisfaction will come, satisfaction will go.
Okay. Okay. This is very insightful, Maharaj. Thank you so much. So, Maharaj, would it be a right understanding to say that in this hierarchy of this happiness, you talked about happiness and joyful and ecstasy, bliss. If I'm contented with this is what at my level right now, will I kind of endeavor to know these experiences? I am contented with this level now. Would that be a definition of satisfaction, Maharaj?
Yeah.
To be contented with where I am right now.
Well, but devotional service is dynamic. It's not always, it doesn't stay in one place, nor does material energy stay in place. So there might be challenges to your happiness as you interact with the material energy. I'll give you an example of how satisfaction comes and how satisfaction goes. For instance, you're eating and you reach a certain level and you say, wow, I'm satisfied. I feel satisfied. I ate enough. I'm happy. And then someone comes along and wants to force you to eat more. You don't want to do it, but you do it anyway. And after a while, you eat more and you lose your satisfaction. That happens. So that's an example of how satisfaction is attained and also lost in the same activity. But happiness is different. Happiness is the quality of the soul's existence. And the more the soul comes in contact with God, the more the soul becomes happy.
Thank you so much. This is very insightful. Thank you.
Is that happy? So yeah,
Yes.
chant and dance. Don't get. You're a very nice philosopher, but you got to get out there and jump around a little bit and sing and dance and spin around. And yeah, we did this last night at one program. We had a very sedative crowd, and there was like very long faces sitting there. So I realized we got to do something. So we just started to really pound the kirtan. And then when a couple of people got up and danced, and then finally at the end, everyone was getting up and dancing. Even the old ladies, they were smiling. Before then, they looked like old ladies, that's all. Yeah. This kirtan is the fast track to transcendental happiness. Right, Balavan? He knows. He loves kirtan. He can't get enough of it. Kirtan is our life.
Sure. I'll take your instruction. Thank you. Right.
But you're more like a Panditji.
You are missing.
We accept Panditjis too, but Panditjis have to use their transcendental knowledge in a practical way by singing and dancing.
That's I'll have to change a bit, Maharaj.
Yeah. So there's a lot of. Where do you live?
Chennai in India, Maharaj. Chennai.
Oh, you're in Chennai. Okay. Oh, you're in good hands. You're there with Banu Swami, right?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes.
Yeah. Banu. No wonder you're such a pundit. Banu Swami is the pundit one in ISKCON. Transcendental pundit. But he's always joyful. If you see him, he's always joyful. You talk to him and he's always smiling and he's laughing and he's preaching and he's laughing and you can see it. He's like ecstatic all the time. So become like that. Become a joyful pundit.
Instruction. Thank you.
You can do that because transcendental knowledge leads to transcendental happiness.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivakumar Prabhu, for that very nice question. Pavni, go ahead.
Pavni, Haribol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Pavni.
Maharaj, we say that we came from Golok Vrindavan because we were envious of Krishna or we wanted to enjoy independent from Krishna. But Golok Dham is such a pure dham. So how does that desire develop over there?
Yeah, that's we call that the $64,000 question, which has been asked at least 64,000 times. So join the list. Prabhupada responded to that in different ways. One way he said, and this is the common way, he said, don't worry how you got here. Worry how to get back. He used the example of a drowning man who is drowning and someone comes with a lifeboat and he says, get in the boat. He said, I am not going to get in the boat until I know why am I here drowning. So that's the answer that Prabhupada mostly gave. He said, when you get back, you'll learn everything. But then he said, the living entity always has its independence, even in the spiritual world. And somehow the living entity might think, why should Krishna be the center? I want to be the center. And then that leads to losing one's service attitude towards Krishna. And when that happens, one is not qualified to stay in the spiritual world. So the idea is we always have our independence. We can choose to serve or not to serve. And for us, one reason or other, the living entities in the material world chose at one point in their existence in the spiritual world not to serve Krishna. But these are the minority of living entities. The majority of living entities never leave the spiritual world. Like that. And Prabhupada also gives a second answer, which is not so common. He said, curiosity to experience the material world overtakes the living entity in the spiritual world just to see what the material world is like. And then they want to experience that, so Krishna allows them to come to the material world. He tells them not to go, but if they really want to go, then they go. Curiosity. Prabhupada uses an example. You're walking along the street and you see a movie theater, and the marquee on the movie theater describes what's being shown inside. So this marquee shows a very horrific, horror movie inside. So horror movies are meant to freak people out, scare people. They bring you into terror, into fear. So they use that for entertainment. So people think, if I go in there, I'm going to get scared. But they go anyway. Curiosity. Sometimes we use the example, curiosity killed the cat. The cat is a very curious living entity. It likes to sneak around and see what's going on everywhere. But sometimes that cat loses its life out of its curiosity. So be curious about Krishna, that's all. And not about the material world, because that will lead you into material consciousness.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to see you again. I forgot to say goodbye to you when we were at the airport. So I'll say goodbye.
Thank you, Pavani. Divya Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the devotees. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for mentioning the yoga ladder in today's verse as well. So I was just thinking about that. What happens is, because when we go to explain the knowledge of Gita, the Krishna has given us a lot of gifts in this, when he explained the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So when we try to explain these yoga ladder aspect to the new devotees, and they try to ask this question, that if we are telling them that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost, and we should read chapters 7 to 12, so how can we engage them and make them understand that it's really important to have that internal absorption rather than just have that intellectual absorption? So all the yogas are important, not just the Bhakti Yoga. So could you please highlight?
Krishna is showing how the yoga is a progression. That you can go to bhakti through the progressional stage, or you can go to bhakti directly. Lord Chaitanya has encouraged us not to go through the different stages of yoga, but come right to bhakti yoga. But for those who are philosophical or want to understand the process, Krishna is explaining step by step how yoga works. The scriptures not only give the different subject matters, they explain how the subject matters are understood and how one should approach them. So the scriptures are quite detailed in their explanations of all of the topics. So in the first part of the Bhagavad Gita is about karma yoga. Chapter 3 is karma yoga. Chapter 4 is karma yoga in action, right? Or is it chapter 5, karma yoga in action?
Yeah. Fourth is transcendental knowledge, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. So Krishna takes time to explain karma yoga. But then at the end of the 6th chapter, the very last verse, he explains that when one understands all of the other yogas, they understand that the highest of all yoga is bhakti. And then from chapter 7 through 12, Krishna explains bhakti yoga. And chapters 13 through 18 is jnana yoga. Bhakti is in the middle. Just like when you make a sandwich, you got two outer pieces of bread, but the best part's in the middle. Yeah, Bhakti's the best. But you'll find that each of these sections of the Bhagavad Gita are not distinct in their categories. So there's elements of bhakti throughout the whole 18 chapters. But there's emphasis on different yogas in different sections. Yeah. So if you want to inspire someone, you just tell them to take up the study of Bhagavad Gita and read it and learn it from a point of study. We have classes that we teach Bhagavad Gita. We did a whole series of Bhagavad Gita studies at the beginning of last year, 2024 in February, the whole month of February mostly. From February 2nd, I think, all the way to February 20th, we did the Gita, verse by verse. And it was really enlightening. Devotees really got into it. And there's so many study guides, both online and in hard copy you can get. So if they're interested in Bhagavad Gita, inspire them to study it. Read it, study it, discuss it.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And if you do a little research, you'll find there's Bhagavad Gita study groups online also. Just like, Zoom, Bhagavad Gita Zoom calls. They do Bhagavad Gita verse by verse like that. So they can do it online also.
Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Divya Mataji. Rajajan and Priya Radha Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My internet is not very well. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees. Thank you very much for this class. I was thinking about the boat that you mentioned that come to save our lives. For me, I think nowadays in the boat I'm so lucky I have you, and you give the instructions, and that saved my life. But in the very beginning, what is the right understanding to say which is the lifeboat, the Maha Mantra? How can
The lifeboat is the lifeboat is the instructions of the spiritual master. The ocean is the material world. The boat is bhakti, and the captain of the boat is the spiritual master. So he's leading the boat, the bhakti boat, across the ocean of material existence. Without his direction, you might wind up anywhere. You might even fall out of the boat. Everything is centered around Srila Prabhupada's instructions. I'll give you a statement. Just give me a minute here. I just came across this statement the other day. Let me see if I can find it here. I think I know where it is. Okay, that's not it. Let me see here. Okay. Let me see here. Can't seem to locate it. Let me try. Here's the answer. If there are any defects within our society, it is only symptom. If there are any defects within our society, it is only the symptom that the instructions of the spiritual master are being neglected. Prabhupada speaking, follow my instructions strictly and always think of giving this gift of Krishna consciousness wherever you go and to whoever you meet. This is the advice of Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada said, if there's any problems, it's because we don't follow the instructions of the spiritual master. We neglect them, we minimize them, or we just are not even aware of them, so we don't follow them. So learn the instructions of the spiritual master and learn how to carry them out. That's your success. That's the boat that'll carry you across this ocean.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
I'm trying to get back here. Let's see, how do I get back? Okay, we're getting closer here. Okay. Okay, we got it.
Nityananda Balaram Prabhu, would you like to go ahead?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your lotus feet, all glories to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis.
Nityananda, nice to hear you. Hear your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, my question is, this I have gone through, like every week as we go for the book distribution, even though we tell the importance of all the scriptures we have, Srimad Bhagavatam is very, auspicious and important. We try to explain the importance, and it's actually nothing but Sri Krishna we are inviting to our home. How do we make them realize the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj? If you can tell us in few words.
Well, people have to have some experience before they're convinced. You can speak some philosophical principles, and some people will accept it, others will just let it bypass it. One is we have to be an example for what we're teaching also, or what we're preaching to others. So if we're living according to Srimad Bhagavatam and also speaking about Bhagavatam, that has potency. That has more effect if we're just theoretically understanding. We have classes, invite them to say, well, here, take this Bhagavatam, and we have regular online classes. You can join it and give them the Zoom link, and they can come, and they can become part of the hearing Bhagavatam and discussing it. You have to give them some exposure to the knowledge that you're trying to convince them to accept.
I think,
that's the best way. If you can convince them by your words, because when you're out there distributing books, you can't get so detailed. You really have to just say something that will click within them, that will make them want to take the book. Like, here is the most ancient spiritual knowledge on the planet. It's already, and then you can show them different quotations by different scholars and by different religionists who have glorified Srimad Bhagavatam. Show them that and saying, these are authorities and they're speaking the glories of this book. It's ancient. It's full of knowledge about all aspects of existence, about God, about this world, how to live in this world happily. Something like that. You give it a more like a holistic statement about what Bhagavatam is. And tell them, just take it home, read it, and see what you think. And if you're not satisfied, come back and we'll give you your money back. Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah. Tell them it's money back guarantee if you're not happy.
Yeah. Bhadra Purnima is coming up in September. So we started, there is a program to deliver all the Bhagavatam sets. So it's important for us to understand and make them understand, realize the importance as well. So thank you very much, Maharaj.
And your enthusiasm is very much a feature of getting them involved. You have to be enthusiastic about this.
It's all over mercy, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We don't take any excuse. We're fixed. This is Bhagavatam's all we need, and we're trying to give it to you also.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hari, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Maharaj, there are no more questions, and we're also just gone 2:00 as well. Would you like to conclude here?
I think so, because I do have to leave my place in about 45 minutes to go onto a program. So I also have to get ready also. So yeah, I think I'll have to, but we'll be back tomorrow for the next verse. But I wanted to ask one question based on what Raja Jana Priya Radha asked. We talked about following the instructions of the spiritual master. So I'm going to ask the assembly of Vaishnavas there. Boy, you got so many cameras on. This is really nice. There's 19 cameras on. Whoa, 20 cameras out of 35 people. 21. It keeps going. 22, 23, 24. Going beyond the limit now. 25. Can't see beyond 25. My question is, and you many of you know the answer. What is the most important instruction given by Srila Prabhupada to his followers?
To preach, Guru Maharaj?
That's important. That's important. But he
Spread the spiritual knowledge, Maharaj. Spread the spiritual knowledge.
Association.
Read my books.
Following the four regulative principles,
Read Srimad
association of
Bhagavatam.
devotees,
Four regulative principles.
and
To distribute.
Read Srimad Bhagavatam.
so far nobody said it yet.
To follow the instructions of the spiritual master.
Chant 16 rounds daily.
follow the instructions of
Who
Guru
said
Maharaj.
to chant 16 rounds? Who said that?
Me, Guru Maharaj.
16.
Who's me?
Also.
Ananya, Radhika, and
Okay. Prabhupada said, my most important instructions to my disciples is to every day chant 16 rounds on beats without fail. So that's the most important instruction. Everything will follow nicely if you do that regularly. You might say, well, I'm doing it, but can you do it for 20 years, 25 years, 40 years, 50 years? In other words, every day chant 16 rounds on beats without fail. Not just chant, but on the beats also. So if you make that focus in your practice of devotional service, you'll find your reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, your enthusiasm to share knowledge to others, your association with devotees and the quality of that association, all of these things and the activities you perform in all will become joyful. If you keep that chanting of the 16 rounds first as the most important. And of course, when we chant, we want to chant with devotion, with attention, and please Krishna by our chanting. So keep that foremost in your activities, and then everything else will become easier and more natural. Okay, just wanted to end with that one.
thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, and Ananya
Bhakti Radhika.
Radhika. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Guru
Guru
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay, thank you. All glories
Thank you,
to
Guru Maharaj.
Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you
Guru
so
Maharaj.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Glory to the Prabhupada. Thank you very
Hi.
much.
Hey, Pariksit, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you for hosting this class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow for the
Hare
daily
Krishna, Guru
class.
Maharaj.